Hey everybody, and welcome to Product Popcorn. I'm your host, Kimberly. Last week we talked with my friend Alex Abreu about artificial intelligence, and today we continue with part 2 of this discussion. Alex isn't nearly as pessimistic as myself or Elon Musk about the future of AI. He basically doesn't think that one day we're going to wake up and robots are going to kill us all. But he does think that product people and UX designers and developers, we all have a really important role to play in designing products that focus on the human way of doing things and the human way of thinking, rather than letting the machine way of thinking take over. We dive deep into this discussion today. Enjoy! Do you think that there's any way that we could change this inevitable outcome of the future? Like, is there anything that humans can do now to have a positive future interaction, with
I'm glad you asked that, Kim.
Oh, really?
I'm glad that I was able to drive the conversation in this direction. So this is why...
Oh, geez.
This is why I think front-end engineering or user experience design is so essential for the future. This is why I wanted to do a PhD originally in human-computer interaction, because it comes down to the human part of it, right? I'm not so interested in the computer aspect of it. It's how do we retain the humanity, the ability to express and innovate and be creative within a UI. That's the stuff that really excites me. So I think that as we build things, we need to somehow make room for human intelligence and human processing of information. Whereas computers can do it in their way, and eventually maybe that way will become dominant, we need to fight for the opposite. We need to fight for some role for humans in how that information is understood.
Can you give an example?
So we were talking about this earlier, and I'm going to repeat it because it's something that I've been thinking about in the day-to-day. So like I said, I work for an email company, and people think that email's simple, well, duh, if I send this thing, it's gonna
I don't use it, never caught on for me.
in an inbox. What do you do all day? Just go to Gmail and send emails for people? That's kind of weird.
That's why I get so many emails from you throughout the day.
Yeah,
Ew. I've got an Alex spam filter.
Yeah, but I'm just a personal assistant for millions of people. No, I mean, the thing is that email is probably the first instance, not the first instance, like the internet, right? So we have ARPANET, right? But this idea that you could send messages back and forth between computers, it's kind of cool, right? So
yeah.
Computers are talking to each other, but humans are exchanging them. I think what's changed in email recently is that we want computers to classify all the types of messages that we receive and that we send. And we want computers to be smart enough to know whether something is spam or something I want to read now or read later. But I think that humans need to have a voice in that. And that means potentially expanding the inbox experience. I mean, that is, yes, it's changed, it's evolved. I mean, you think back to AOL and Netscape days, it's definitely better. Hotmail, you guys remember that?
Oh my god, yeah, my Hotmail account.
You have exceeded your 2 megabyte limit.
I have a friend still with a Hotmail.
It's I get one email.
Too.
You could get one email and that would wipe out your Hotmail inbox.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
This attachment is too big.
So it's gotten better. But the thing is, it's still relatively the same. And so I'd say, why can't we control the types of messages? Why can't we say, from within our inboxes, I really love this content. I want more content like it. Why do I have to go out to the internet, find some other list to subscribe to? Why can't I combine content? So, I just think that...
Which is kind of what we do with recommendation engines like Netflix, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but the thing, I guess what I'm saying is, whereas email has moved off in this direction, it's machine learning can handle it. Yeah, probably, let's say they can even capture 99% of the cases. That 1% is the 1% that I care about. It's the part that machines fail on that I think we need to try to keep honing in on as humans and making UIs better so that humans can control the frequency and the aggressiveness of messaging. That sort of stuff should remain in our wheelhouse. And I think that's true across all industries. We need to think about how humans play a primary role in parsing and processing information.
That is a good point, because like I was looking through my Netflix queue recently, and this is just have to do with like personalization, using machine learning for the purpose of personalization in general. So there's a couple examples, but with Netflix or any sort of like media recommendation engine, I always wonder like, what am I missing out on? Like, yes, I know that I like,
Everything.
because I watch Game of Thrones, I'm gonna like these other similar shows. But what if there's a genre that I've never known existed that I would really like, and I don't know I like it because I've never been exposed to it, because Netflix is never going to recommend it to me because it's not similar to anything else I've watched and it's not part of their algorithm. I think about that a lot.
Yep.
Keeps me up at night.
It should. Because, this is a very small example. Like, and it's like, what did we do without Netflix? Like, we had to actually
Talk to people.
Well, we had to talk to people, or we had to get in our cars and we had to drive to a place where we actually had to go look and spend time like browsing around aisles. It was like maybe a little bit stinky. It smelled a little bit like old popcorn. And then we'd have to go talk to someone and like check out, and like maybe we owed money on, like, it was just a pain in the butt. But there was always that serendipitous chance,
segue.
The diamond in the rough,
that you could find something that you'd never experienced before.
I feel like
With
we're not going to
Netflix,
have that anymore.
And that's true. I think that Netflix has really deadened our media consumption in some ways. Like, yes, like we're in this, like, people call this the golden age of TV. I don't like that, because I think it's kind of, I don't know. I think it degrades previous experiences with television. But I think what I will say is that in that same way that Netflix is creating an echo chamber, it's a personal echo chamber, we need to find a way for humans to break out of it. We need to, like, there needs to be a backdoor in all of our UIs so that we can say, no, you know what, computer, yeah, like,
you don't know everything.
You're right a lot of the time, but this time you're wrong.
The no button.
Yeah, no thanks.
No.
So here's another example. So I was reading, I think it may have been on a podcast actually, about virtual reality and how it's going to change e-commerce. And so the experience that the person was describing was, you're going to put on a VR headset and you're going to go into a store which is only stuff that you like and only stuff that fits you. And my initial reaction was, awesome, I am never going to have to try on another pair of jeans again, which takes hours, for women to find, and probably men too, I'm sure, to find jeans that like fit and that you like. I was like, how amazing would it be to walk into a store that's tailor-made for you, and they know all of your likes based on your past shopping history and this and that. And then as I thought about it more and more, kind of along these lines, is like, but what about all the stuff that I would never think of or never know that I like, or if I want to change my style, or...
Yeah, it's great if you want to dress like a cartoon character.
Wait.
It sounds fun.
What? Why?
Well, cartoon characters only ever wear the same thing all the time. They always look the same. I think you have a good point, Kim. I think this idea that the tailor-made experience, regardless of what it is, whether it's clothing, media, news, these things are problems. And I think, to go back to politics, I know this is a touchy subject.
I think about this all the time. This definitely keeps me up at night, is like personalizing news or only showing within your social networks opinions on news that reflect your own opinions.
That
so
is
you just
scary.
become more and more in this bubble where the algorithm, any sort of classifying algorithm is just continues to return more and more. When Trump won the election, and I don't want to get political either, but I know that a lot of people were surprised. I was not surprised because at work I actually ran huge big data queries on, I have access to, big data throughout the entire internet. And so I was just running queries on just volume of like how many mentions are there for Trump versus how many mentions there are for Hillary. So perhaps within my social network, and I wrote a blog post about this, like within my social network, I couldn't imagine who was going to vote, for Trump, because it was, only returning, we all think the same way. But when I was looking at the big data across all of the internet and outside of my network and just all across the entire country, he was getting 3 times as many mentions across the internet as she was. And I thought, oh shit.
And those could have been generated by bots. So like, I don't know if that's...
Sure, could have. 3 times though. That's a big...
Russian bots. You need to define that first.
Yeah, but it made me think a lot about how we're becoming more and more isolated.
But the thing is, if those, like, I totally agree with you, because I think that those bots are even more dangerous with this sort of setup, right? Because those become data points into the classifier. It's like, well, yeah, this is good stuff. Here's more like it. It's all fake. It's not real anymore, right? So,
but it's catering to your beliefs.
Exactly, and so it's like you just start to pick up on.
That's why this fake news.
Do you guys
stuff is
remember
such a big
when
deal.
Microsoft introduced their Twitter bot, their Twitter AI, and then it was corrupted like within hours to be extremely racist and
Yes, that
genocidal?
was terrifying.
This is what our society did to this,
pristine piece of technology.
Such an interesting story. Along that same vein, like a bank may use machine learning to find good loan applicants, and they did a study on, what training data are you using for this? Because if you're training it on like what we do now, this algorithm is going to be racist, because that's the way, loan applicants are. Right now the process is skewed against African American applicants. So if we're using that training data, then we're going to create a machine that,
Yeah.
it's kind of the same idea, but getting off track. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why it's great. I think in general, the idea is a good one. We just need to make sure that we're covering all our bases and we're not leaving a huge loophole that's going to come back to bite us in the future.
So what are you most looking forward to in, like, let's say the next 5 years, like how AI is going to affect your personal life? Do you see anything good that will come of it? So your personal day-to-day life.
I'm a fan of the driverless car.
Me too.
I have to say that.
Oh, yes. I can't wait.
But when we're talking about the economic disruption, that's going to be huge. So
yeah.
So I'm a little bit concerned with that aspect of it. But this idea that all of a sudden, like, you can regain all that time as a human,
drinking those Ritas.
Well, the thing is, like, if we spend that time in like our Facebook or whatever bubble and just reading news that's been catered, like, that's not good.
Yeah.
But if we can regain that time to do more productive things in the human sense, I think it's great. And then, like, all the safety features, it's going to be fantastic.
To like put it into perspective, the idea of what that would do just to the real estate market kind of blows my mind, because, like, yeah, people look about commuting and be like, wow, I can't live here because the commute is so long. But if you have a self-driving car and you're able to work on your way to, let's say you have to be in the office for some reason, you're able to work on the way to work, safely.
That's what I do every day currently.
That'll totally change the way we see of, like, where neighborhoods are going to be popular and that sort of stuff. The entire layout of cities is going to change pretty dramatically, I think.
Yeah. No, definitely. We've built our cities around, like, this highway system and this, like, everyone has to have a car and they're all going to drive it, and it's created a mess. Mm-hmm. And I think that this is a good time for us to reevaluate what cities are supposed to be. It's a different topic. Very interesting, though.
Now I'm reevaluating how I'm spending my commute time, because I take the bus and I just listen to like 4 different Game of Thrones podcasts. Maybe I should be doing something more productive with that time, Alex.
I think it's just how we I think all these things that we've defined in the human sense, we need to really either continue to do that, make sure that we're doing it in that way, or reevaluate, like, whether or not we agree with it.
We should lead into our final question here for Alex, which is, does Alex think that Westworld is in our future?
Oh my God, I am terrified. So let me just tell you that I resisted watching Westworld because I'm already terrified of just the future of AI and robots and the massive economic disruption that I think is still impending. But my husband forced me to watch it. He didn't really force me, but it's not like he like tied me to the sofa and
you watch this.
Kept my eyes open. But I started watching it, and it is legitimately terrifying, because as a product manager, I was like, wow, that's a really good application that would sell really well. Like, people would really definitely pay a lot of money for this type of, alternate universe experience, and these robots that are so human-like. And, I know the technology will be there sooner rather than later, and it's kind of terrifying.
Yep.
I would say that, I would question how your husband got turned on to it, and whether or not it was because he thought it was a great show, or it ended up in his like personal stream of information. Everyone was telling him it was good. So
That's good insight.
So there's that question, because I think that goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
But then like the show itself, I've only seen an episode, I think, and so I'm not an expert. I think it's possible. I mean, I do think that there's a large portion of the population that is going to be complacent in taking in an experience that's catered for what they want. Like,
Right. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can see that happening, but I think it's not the direction we want to go in. So if we see something like that, we can see some like, ooh, this is going to be kind of fun. Well, there's like all these downsides to it as well. Like,
Yeah.
is this really what we want?
I don't think people are going to consider the downsides, and I don't think the downsides are going to outweigh the market opportunity for that, because you have already video games. Like, I even took notes of something that was very kind of reminding me of it, which is called Red Dead Redemption, which I played, and it's actually one of my favorite games, right? And it's this...
Oh, God, you're going to be a Westworld customer in the future, Adam.
Oh, wait. Yeah. I'm not going to be like the... Anyway, we're not going to talk about
But it's like going to like Disney World wearing VR goggles.
Well, you're not wearing...
and you're in a casino. Like,
And you
I mean,
can
like,
shoot people, and you can have sex with people.
right,
and
that's
you
why
can-
so it comes with all of like the Las Vegas aspect. It comes with the fantasy part, like it is Disney World, and then it's encapsulated to only you, which is the VR. It's like that's it. I mean that's what it is. Like I don't know how it gets more interesting than that.
You take a game, okay, you have these sandbox games, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is like out there, but like take Red Dead Redemption, which is literally an open sandbox game where you're a character and you can go anywhere, you can do what you want to do, and you're set in this Wild West setting, right? Immensely popular, one of the highest selling games of all time, right? And you take that game, that concept, and you make it tangible, right? You can feel, you can smell, that sort of stuff. I don't see how that doesn't sell.
No, I'm not talking about it not being a money-making machine. Granted, yes, there's people that want that. What I'm saying is that it's almost like you know the outcome already, because it's tailored to what you want out of it. At the end of the day, like, barring some sort of uprising from the machine characters, it's
Spoiler.
at the end of the day, it's going to be the experience that you've dreamed of, right? Because that it's playing to all of your desires. So that to me is like, it's not so interesting, because there is really
There's no surprise.
There is no surprise.
Yeah.
You don't think that they'll factor that in?
But they did. That's the thing. They factored it in such a way that it still achieves your desires. So there is no real surprise.
The trick is to randomly kill one of the visitors so that you're like, whoa, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, right. I mean, if that starts happening,
That's the machine uprising, and that's exactly what I'm concerned about.
Right. But then we're back at a different plot line.
Yeah.
I'd say that. Yeah, I mean, it's like going on a ride at the amusement park. It's interesting, but at the end of the day, like, you know, it's supposed to end in you being alive at the end, and you like with a smile on your face. Real life's not like that.
That's why it'll work, because real life isn't like that.
Right.
Alex, do you have any last words?
No, I don't. I'd say this was awesome. I mean, it's fun to think about these things. It's scary, but I think it's up to all of us. I mean, it's not going to be, if there's only just like a subset of people that don't want this to happen, and they're going to get steamrolled. So I'd say all of us that are in technology and can make decisions about how that technology should be built, we should dig deep and find that humanity within ourselves and how we want to express it. And we should build that into our work. We should see our work as an expression of ourselves, not an expression of computation necessarily, or the most efficient ends to a means to an end. We need to think about, like, hey, is this something that I want my mom to use and my grandma, and like I'm going to be proud of in the future?
Your children?
That sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just glad I work in technology. At least we all get to be a part of it.
Not like one of those other normies, You know what I mean? Those normies who don't work in technology.
Oh,
Okay.
I was like, what's a normie? You mean normal people?
Normal people.
Got it. Alex, thank you so much for being on the pod.
I loved it.
Can you come back?
Let's do it again.
Will you come back and talk to us more? We need to think of a different subject though, because this AI stuff, I'm gonna have nightmares for probably
heavy biz.
6 days at least.
Yes.
I don't know if my husband's gonna let me do another podcast about artificial intelligence.
He's shaking his head just outside the door here.
Actually, I see him. He's smiling, drinking a beer. He's loving the fact that you're trapped in here.
It's like, keep her in there for another hour. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. In the meantime, you can reference the Product Popcorn blog at productpopcorn.com. I'm going to have a list of resources about artificial intelligence and machine learning on there that you can read if you're a product person. Thanks, everybody.
Or
Bye-bye.
if you're not a product person.
Or if you're not a product person, you're just a normie, as Adam says.
Yes.
All right. See you later.
Bye.